Hello, good people. Glad you're here. Phase 1, week 1, workout 2. Presses, jumps, and other auxiliary lifts and exercises. Mostly for the shoulders, upper body stuff. And we add in some calf raises as well. I'm still reorganizing a lot of the programming in this and playing with kind of like the rep ranges and stuff, considering the equipment that I'm using. It's hard to get really heavy work with just like dumbbells and stuff. So we're doing a lot of single side and, getting the rep ranges right with that is sometimes tricky. I wanted to start with just maximal seated jumps. This is going to be our first progression for plyometrics. I want to always have these in the program because it's very important to be able to maintain that expression of jumping, especially for parkour. Followed by press to handstands assisted on the box here. I don't really care about being able to do it without the jump, without the box. Right now, I just want to go through the motion. It's kind of the same idea as the muscle ups earlier in the program, except with a little bit more of an emphasis on the strength because, I can basically do these. I just lack flexibility and familiarity with the movement. And we'll see later on the progression I could get to where I can do it without the little hop on the toes. That's more like a whole jump. I wanted to line these up as if I was doing a jump from standing. So my body's kind of in the same similar squat shape at the bottom there. It's just a little bit lower than what I would drop to if I were just going to do a vertical jump. I want to be able to produce maximal power from that bottom position, isolated from the stretch shortening cycle. Okay, presses round 2. This is the set where I noticed I'm jumping way too much. The fatigue was starting to build up. I couldn't really get the form of the press correct here because I wasn't able to lean into the wall of my rear delts. So we are jumping. I think I fixed that with the next set. I bring out some help. Still just trying to figure out where I'm at though. Set for the jumps. Get the angle right so that I don't lean into it as much. There's going to be a little bit of a rock always, but I want this bottom position to look exactly like a freeze frame of the bottom of that stretch short cycle. So I can just focus on the vertical there. Down the road in the program, in the next phase, we'll start adding in some other elements of this. Maybe start working on measuring the jump height and stuff. I really wanted to see how high my vertical was first before starting all this, but I just didn't have the time to get chalk or anything like that. So we'll figure that out and document it later. Yeah, so here we go. We got some steppers. 4 inches each stepper. Still not enough here. It's a little bit too low and I'm having to jump, so I go back to get some more. There we go, a little upgrade. So now I can lean into it a little bit more, feel the lift off of the toes. Still a little bit too much of the jump, but it's definitely way better. I'm able to do the press way slower. Hands on the ground Fingers wide, flat, fingertips pressing into the floor from the thumb through to the pinky, making sure that I'm keeping my my traps and delts activated by pushing the floor down. Fun stuff. I miss those. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, see, that's much better already. It allows me to do the work of the press and still be assisted to the level that I need in terms of like the flexibility and the actual strength getting my feet off the ground. 3 of these, so that is 4, 8, 12. It's a whole foot off the ground. That feels about right. You can see it there. The difference in this press and the last one, where in this one, I lean forward until my toes peel off of the mat. And then I'm able to use the box to help my upper body kind of press it up there. I'm going to stay at this progression and kind of bring it down week by week just to see if I can, gain strength in it. As we work on more of the overhead presses, lateral raises, stuff like that, strengthen the shoulders, this should become easier and easier. Moving on to the next set of exercises. I might have missed filming some jumps or something. I do that often, so. Overhead presses paired with kettlebell swings. And you'll see later on in the program, I'm changing up the order of these a little bit. Everything needs to be a superset because this already takes forever, especially with so much unilateral work. So I really just want to squeeze as much in as possible. I know it's not optimal, but I'm going to get stronger regardless. I don't really care if it's the most efficient. So we're looking for that 80-20 principle kind of stuff here. Plus playing around with the different order of exercises and rep ranges and stuff allows me to learn what that feels like for other people too. In the overhead press, I noticed on these, it really feels good on the delts if I bring that stretch down pretty low. Some people say not to do that as low, but I was just really feeling that good stretch. Kettlebell swings, I decided to put a band around my shins just to see how it would feel. I want to get a little bit more glute activation and external rotation through the hip. I often do this with squats. It's very helpful to kind of understand how to set the feet into the ground. And it felt like the same is true for those kettlebell swings too. Just gives you something to have feedback with what's happening here. These are more like an incline press, not a strict or military press, because this bench only goes up so far, but it's okay. Bringing those dumbbells down pretty low, trying to feel the stretch happen in the side delts, and then pressing overhead. Got a big side-to-side difference, and you're going to be able to tell as the weight increases. But here it's not so bad. Slow down that last rep just to feel the eccentric, because that set wasn't high enough intensity, so I'm trying to get just a little bit extra fatigue in there. You'll notice my arms are very lax on the kettlebell swings here, and my head goes down. My face goes from the wall to the floor. It's very important kettlebell swings that you're producing the power from your hips and not your arms. It's all about just pushing your hips forward to move the weight as powerfully and fast as possible. And then you want your head to follow what the rest of your spine should be doing in that hinge motion. Next, we've got rear delt rows and lateral raises with the band. I was playing around with the position of these rows, starting with the weight across the body in order to stretch that rear delt. I don't know if that's completely necessary. I ended up just using my obliques a lot to kind of turn my torso. So I think I'm reaching too far. Maybe I can kind of compromise, go to the middle a little bit. These are really great. They hit the shoulders, hit the upper back, upper mid back. Yeah, these take forever. But I got to keep them in. Very important exercise. This program is primarily meant to prepare me for parkour in the spring and summer season. So there's not going to be a lot of these isolated exercises, but the shoulders being strong is very important. One for the calisthenics, press to handstands, stuff like that, but also just most parkour movements, vaults, especially utilize those shoulders. And I want a strong and stable upper body, so we're working on that. The lateral raises, these are weird, I admit, but hear me out. These are meant to mimic cable lateral raises with the anchor point across the body so that you can get the stretch through the delts. Only thing is this band is pretty long, so it was hard for me to anchor it to my foot and still be able to raise it up. So I was just kind of playing around with, how to hold it, where to put it, where to turn my body, so we can get this stretched across the body lateral raise. You can do these lying down with the dumbbell as well, and they work, but I want to figure out how to use these bands better. I feel like I've really overlooked them over the years. It can be a great resource. With minimal setup, minimal equipment, you just have a band, stand on it, and then raise it up. Like, that's easy, Anybody can do it. It's really easy to figure out what resistances work best. You just switch bands, Or you can choke down on it, tighten up, and you get a little bit more weight. It would be cool to have one that has like little measurements on it so you can know where you held it at, what resistance that would be. Cross is the crisis, not the desert. Interesting. I kind of like them like this though because it also allows me to work a little bit on not necessarily mobility, but a little bit of stability in this long lunge shape. It's not touching an end range of motion, but it is kind of touching end range hip extension of that back leg, especially right here. A little bit of an isometric on the lead leg, on that quadricep of the knee too. It's not too bad. I can even stand on a box on the front leg, lift it up, tilt the hips up, work on it. Playing around with what height to end at. I was thinking, ooh, maybe I can get some side and then rear delt in there too at the top, up and then back just a little bit. You can see here I'm kind of over cranking that elbow in terms of how high it goes past my body. And that is to target those rear delts. Once your elbow gets past your body, your back muscles they don't have as big of an advantage, especially the lats, to be able to pull that weight, and the rear delts kind of take over. Here I was playing with elbow position as well, like the angle compared to my body. I brought it out just a little bit, see if that helped make it more of like a rear delt fly. Once I kind of nailed down how I can feel that muscle working in these rows, then I'll just kind of keep the shape the same. But until then, we're going to do a few wacky and weird things. Oh, yeah, namely, I felt my upper traps working the most. And I kind of want to avoid that. Those guys tend to be overworked and overactive, so I'm going to use more of that mid back. Here I was playing with my body angle, see if I tilted up just a little bit, if I could bring the tension off of the upper traps. Trying to push the shoulders back and down. And I'm not dropping the weight as low, so that we're not just using the obliques to kind of flip that weight around. And I think this set was kind of the best one. I want to stick to this sort of position, maybe go back down with the planted hand just a little bit lower to the bottom of the bench again. And back to these on the second set. It feels like I kind of have a better idea of what to do, how to feel that side delt. This one felt great. Although I think I could grab the band a little bit lower and still get a little more out of it. The idea, though, is that there would still be tension right here at the bottom. Pulling the delt into the stretch. But it's hard to get that with a band, you know? That's the biggest disadvantage, is that the maximum tension is often at the squeeze portion of the exercise instead of the stretch. Whereas with a cable, you get even tension throughout. But that's why we're figuring it out. You got to work with what you have. Trade a little bit of I guess, perfection for versatility with these. And this is kind of rounding out the end of the workout. I think I had a couple more things planned. I don't remember off top, but I either didn't get to them, ran out of time, or decided to change it or something. But yeah, reorganizing it definitely will help. Reorganizing the program definitely will help get to everything. My goal is to be able to do 2, 4, 6, 8 exercises within an hour and 15-ish minutes, including the warm-up. That being 4 sets on the first 2, 3 sets on the next 2 groups of exercises, and then 2 sets of each on the last exercises. Generally something that I don't need a lot of extra sets on, but I do want to at least touch in the week. Yeah, I'm really excited about where this program could take me in the next few weeks. Next time we'll be working on some strength elements, some extras. Next week, week 2 of this phase, it's going to be reorganized just a bit. Some of the exercises are drawn back in terms of intensity. Some of them are rearranged in terms of the superset. We're going to try to fit it all in, guys. So that's pretty much it. Be good and stay strong, y'all. And peace be with you today.